Dude, is that all you came up here for? Oh no, I was just wondering. I see the lights. What the fuck? Kia, stay out of our business, bitch.
Oh. Live on YouTube now. And could.
We are.
Yeah, we're good.
Welcome, fans, producers, investors, users, people of interest. Welcome back to the Making of Bragtime, episode 2. I'm the Major.
And I'm Noah.
Yeah. So today we're going to be going over something really exciting, but we're basically going to be walking you guys through what we're doing. So right now, today what I'll be working on is a new feature. So we have different levels throughout the app. You know, they grant you access to different features, and based on those levels, we have logics that allow different animations to happen. So if you're on a higher level, you'll get like a crown or sparkles or something like that over your head, and then it's going to be animated, or it is animated already. And then we have an animated online, and we also have an animated or check mark for those users that's verified. But the complexity of it is very complex because we're also using a service. From AWS called CloudFront. And what CloudFront does is it's basically a CDN, a content delivery network, which takes all your assets, keeps the storage URL private, and it caches in, meaning for those that's not familiar with that term, meaning that it takes in the memory of all your assets, images, videos, and so forth, and then dishes it out, distributes it across the globe, right? So the purpose of this, the reason for this is a couple different reasons. For one is better security. For two, so people don't have direct access to your storage. And the second reason is for performance. So images and videos is typically very large and very slow if it's not managed correctly. In fact, YouTube had this issue when it first started. YouTube would have never been, put it like this, YouTube would have never been the platform it is today if it wasn't for Google buying them out and putting everything on their super service. Mm-hmm. So it is very difficult for those old enough to remember YouTube back in the day. Like it would be buffering for all of the videos. It takes a lot of strategic management of the assets to allow it to flow properly. So what we have is custom APIs built that when you upload an image, or particularly a video, right? So if you upload a video challenge, it's uploaded, but it goes through this API first that compresses the video, and then it separates it into 3 different files. One file is the original video, but at a compressed, a smaller size. The second one is a preview of the video, so it clips a 3-second preview at about 25% of the video, right? And then the third one is a thumbnail. So it also captures the image at that point and uses it as a thumbnail. So there's 2 things now. Because of the complexity of the images, I should have thought of this before, but it's better just to create a single component, a single profile image component that has access to all of the user's properties, all of the user's attributes, and then you could just place it wherever you want. Now, it's not just that simple, it's a little bit more configuration, but the next thing is we wanted to give users the same experience as all other apps. When you hover over the image, what will look like a tooltip or a pop-up would hover over the image with the user's information. So like their picture, banner, and their profile information, and then it'll give you some action buttons, right? So it'll allow you to either view their profile, message them, or in this case, challenge them. So now I'll be building out a completely different system that we don't have to directly challenge users, right? And then that needs to be, the logics needs to go into the different levels for that, because based on the different levels, a user might only be able to, on the lower level, a user may only be able to challenge other users that's already their friends. On a higher level, they may be able to challenge any user, for instance. So I'm almost finished with this part, and then I'll be building out the actual system, because right now we have the challenges in place. It's ongoing and people are winning big. The challenges is basically, the video challenge is basically a user creates a challenge based on categories, and they wait for 2 other participants or challengers or to challenge them. And they could send out invites, shares, and so forth, or they could just sit back and just wait for 2 people to challenge them. But it's on a time limit, so they have basically 48 hours to get 2 other challenges, or the challenge actually goes into archive. So we have this condition set with enums that checks on the status of the challenge, and based on that, it does some other action. So this now, but a user will be able to directly challenge another user. And now we're gonna have across the app in most places, when you see the profile picture, you could either hover, and the way I have it is not just a quick hover, because like the user could just be passing their mouse, but a 2-second hover, right? So if the user stays on the other user's profile picture for 2 seconds or longer, that's when the pop-up comes up and displays the information, or like a little user card. Also, if they click the picture, it also does the same thing. So yeah, just working on that. And Noah, you want to tell me a little bit about what you're working on?
Yeah, so right now I'm going to be creating some of the Bragtime videos we need for the proper advertisement. What I have to do is figure out a proper title, especially one correlating to the theme of summer or something in that something with that idea. And then I have to go through and put in titles, captions. I have to cut it up, and I also work with AI to generate some videos, so that also helps me out. And then I have to find audios and construct the whole video. We do have a sort of template going on right now, which just make things quite easier. And I am using CapCut for these things because it's kind of quicker. And
You find CapCut to be better than Premiere Pro?
it really, I think for short form content,
It's quick and easier.
well, I think it really just depends on like what type of video you're trying to do. If it's like a vlog or something, or something real short, then I'd say CapCut is probably the easiest thing to do.
Okay.
And it takes less time, or all the tools are just right there. But for Premiere Pro, if you really want to do something professional, then yeah, that's what you want to do with Premiere Pro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Something that's real quality.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it's like whatever your mind could come up with, correct? You know, it's all possible.
Mm-hmm.
Premiere Pro. They even do like tweening of different things, so you could do frame by frame animations and so much stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they have tons of templates to choose from online. Tons of templates, tons of add-ons, and stickers, all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. Creating some of the videos. I'm also going to be collecting some emails, reaching out to some people, doing some networking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So get started. I'm gonna show you in 1 second what the results is. Test this out. Now, I was explaining on the first episode that AI is not what people think. It's a lot more difficult to work with, and you really have to know what you're doing. It will destroy, like some of the AI models, for instance, like Cursor, it will destroy your code. It will make up components, import components that doesn't exist. It will change shit randomly that you never asked it to. And the task at hand, it has maybe about a 20% at best ratio of being correct. But typically, even for that, you would have to prompt it like a whole bunch of times. And I'm talking about like the best prompts in the world, and it's still like, so there's no like real secret source. Well, there could be some prompts that no one knows about, some kind of thing that might unlock some things, but I definitely tried and have tried tried to rewrite its rules, and sometimes it actually works. I've had AI models tell me like, oh no, I don't generate images.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes you do, you did it last time. Like, stop playing.
Mm-hmm.
You're capable. I know you're capable of doing it. Oh, you're right. No.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as content is good, but as far as coding, it's pretty bad. You really have to know what you're doing, but the times that it does work, it can save you like days, possibly even weeks. Development typically is a slow process. It's really hard to explain. It's very, very, very complicated. It's very surgical. I would argue that coding is the most surgical thing in the world. Not surgery itself, not anything else related to what you might consider to be, surgical and accurate, and because most things are kind of fixed. Even if like a surgeon was working on the brain, a neurosurgeon or a heart surgeon or whatever, parts of the body is not going to change. You know, this is a continuously evolving system with hundreds, sometimes thousands of dependencies. That's just the ones you know about, because each library, each dependency has their own dependencies. You know, and everything must be in sync because every dependency continuously upgrades their thing. Again, this is one of the inspirations to build this, because on these other platforms we don't own it. There's no consistency. It's continuously changing, right? Now we understand that the world is continuously changing. There's higher demand. There's more competition. So that kind of drives the motive of these businesses to rapidly keep up. But at the same time, they do extra that's not necessary, and it affects the user experience. But not only that, the user can't really profit properly off of, or content creators rather, can't really profit properly because it's hard to figure out the algorithm and to know whether you've been shadow banned or, you know, whatever it may be. So the world's first 100% decentralized platform, we're building it, or we've built it, and we're continuously making upgrades. That unicorn that everyone was talking about, this is it. We are that. It's just completely bootstrapped. So
let's get to work.
It's like, man, I wish he stopped talking. Unc be going in when he first start, like like damn. You want some more coffee?
I appreciate it. How you feeling this morning, though?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. For sure. Feels good to have like a little bit of a break.
Yeah, man.
Like I woke up feeling like one was coming on, but yeah.
When did that, man? It's gonna come together.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Every day would be like, welcome to such and such place. Welcome to Thailand. Coming to you live from Thailand. You're like, hold on, it's the same fucking scenery. Like, what's going on?
No. We just brought the studio setup with us.
Right.
Transported the whole room.
What song was that?
It's 734.
Yeah, maybe next time we'll hook up the HDMI cord to the TV.
Okay.
You think it's long enough to reach?
Your computer?
Yeah. So we get kind of get an angle towards the TV too.
Yeah, maybe. I think so.
That's the HDMI connected to the
PS5, yeah, nah, never mind.
No, we can just move the table over a little bit. It's gonna be a tight fit.
Yeah.
I have to play. What's that game that you like? Have to go under the rope and shit.
Limbo?
Limbo, yeah. What's the journey of learning to edit? Because for me it was just the pricing of editors, and not even really the pricing. The pricing didn't really get me, but it was the quality.
Mm-hmm.
Like these people was demanding, high prices for like basically bullshit quality, and they was charging like, somewhat maybe a little bit less than most professionals, but freelance sites is garbage, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I just took it upon myself, did some tutorials, and started learning Pro Tools. Premiere Pro.
Mm-hmm.
I was already familiar with, Photoshop, After Effects, and a few others.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really not bad once you get used to it. As an engineer, like I'm kind of used to, that kind of technical stuff or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what's been like your journey?
So, when I was younger, like I had said in episode 1, I was making, content. And I didn't have an editor. I figured out pretty soon I needed one. I needed to be able to edit. So, I had downloaded some, like, at first I had tried like iMovie, which actually sucks.
Yeah.
So I'm over here using iMovie to edit.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing that this is garbage, so I'm looking for something better. I moved on to something else. I forgot what it was called. Some mobile app. but that one kind of sucked too.
Oh, I think I was using that. I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I moved to CapCut, mobile CapCut, and I was editing on mobile CapCut for a while. And then I was like, man, I need to like, and then the content started to get serious. So you know what I'm saying, I had to up my game a little bit.
Right.
So I hopped on a computer, downloaded CapCut, and that's how that went. And around that time, we actually had gotten a Premiere Pro membership.
Yeah.
So I had started using Premiere Pro, figured that out a little bit, and yeah, that's how it came to me. I mean, it was just like out of necessity, me being a content creator, that I had to figure that out. And then, but later on, like increasing my skill was probably making like music videos for people. People ask me to make music videos, and that's when you make videos like that, it requires you to know a lot about like effects and movement and angles, positions, all that.
And then, oh god.
No. And then yeah, I was and that got me to like a little bit into cameras too. So you know what I'm saying, I had to figure out the right angles for editing and all that. It takes a vision, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Because you did some runways too, right? You was doing a little bit of fashion photography.
Yeah, so I was sitting front row at some fashion shows, you know what I'm saying, up there with my camera recording, you know what I'm saying, so I could go home and, edit the video. And yeah, people would like invite me to their event, invite me to their events to, you know what I'm saying, film, record, and make a video for it. You know what I'm saying, their event that they had going on to you know what I'm saying, promote.
Yeah. It's really a thing. I think it's you have to have like a director's mind. And we had this discussion the other day, is like how I see different films. You could tell like the quality if they have really good directing by certain things, particularly the angles that they use. If it's just like one angle, which you see sometimes, it's bad. But I kind of put things into like, in terms of movies, like 4 tiers. You got the first tier, it's like blockbuster kind of thing, like the Avengers, big budget, and well known, well-known stars, and people don't realize what it takes to do one of those things. You have one executive director that puts their name on it, but you have a whole bunch of other people that's helping to direct, and of course a whole editing team, and a whole bunch of writers, a whole bunch of writers, and then you have tier 2. That I would say is like less of a budget, but not quite the same quality, just maybe a little bit less, but and no name brand celebrities. That's the major thing, and then tier 3 is like they still have good camera angles. The acting is not bad. Maybe the script is a little off and bad.
Some dull lines, right?
Yeah, that's really a thing. Because in movies, it needs to be rapid. And everything is... So, for those who don't know, I have some experience writing movies as well when I was, some time ago. After my first book, A Drifter's Love, A Time for Love. It's supposed to be 1 out of a 3-part series. But after that, I went on a book tour. I was lucky enough to get published by a major publishing house. And when I went on a book tour, people were saying that my writing style is so detailed that I should go into screenwriting. And you know, I like action movies anyway, so I kind of pursued that for a little while. I actually, so first, breaking into the industry is extremely hard. Nowadays, it's different. You don't need distribution. You could do it yourself. But at that time, it was pretty difficult. But I was lucky enough to sell two of my scripts, screenplays. One was produced, and the other one I think was shelved. This happens a lot. Like a studio might buy a script, and it just doesn't make it to production for whatever reason. It could be it's out of their budget. There's a lot of different reasons, but yeah. So you know, always had a passion for that, and I found that I would probably be a better director because even when you're writing screenplays, right? There's different versions. So there's it kind of slipped my mind what the different versions are called, but there's the first version that the writer writes, the main writer. Typically, if you're a new writer, they pay you just to walk away. Because then they're gonna come, depending on how much the budget of the movie, but they're gonna hire dozens of writers to critique every line. You know what I'm saying? To follow whatever agendas that they want, and to build the character more. Right? That's very important. Like character building and progressively moving things forward, meaning that every scene should lead up to something. It's either leading up to something or displaying a sub-story or building the character. So you're getting to see. But the best movies don't just tell you everything. It works its way in through everything. Like the scenery, like at the beginning, they pan over and they show the scenery. That's giving you a description of, you know, what's going on, pretty much the content of the movie, of what's it about, and then they'll start to build up the character. So it's kind of similar when it comes to editing videos. You know, the right camera angles, the right story, you want to display the right story, and so yeah, there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
It's like, is he an uncle or grandpa? Sure, talking like a grandpa. Like, what the fuck?
Grandpa, you're not Grandpa Savage, man. I don't even worry about that.
I'm actually his younger brother.
Yep.
Right on. Just had a hard life.
Had a rough 15 years.
Rough 15 years. So yeah, I mean, I pretty much got it, but there's still a little bit of issues because in order to put to get the what you call it to work, it's not as simple as just creating one component. You have to put like the pop-up on the parent component. Other than that, then the pop-up is going to show within that whatever frame that the profile picture is in, which is not gonna work. So it needs to be outside. Working on that. Trying to see if AI could guide it to help me save some time.
Right now I'm trying to collect some titles for these next videos. Try to do something related to the times.
Yeah. Like Diddy and shit. Put Diddy on there. Imagine not being.
You know what? Imagine something like that.
Yeah. Imagine not being locked up for being a creep. Bragtime.
Imagine Diddy wasn't controlling all your content.
Right. Guys, feel free to drop a comment on your experience on, if you have any experience on editing. Would love to hear it. Also on coding. If any guys don't understand, like, you know, what I was talking about, let us know. We'd be happy to hear your feedback. And don't forget to follow us on our social links. Follow, subscribe, YouTube channel.
Yeah, and make sure to stay tuned. And if you do want to speak to us, you can join our Discord, which I will be putting the link to that in the description a little later on today.
So we probably should have like the descriptions on the set, so that way we could just like copy and paste with including like the links already. Cause I don't think none of the links is in it, right? But we could always go back to and edit the description.
The links for what?
The links for our socials.
It's like right up there.
Oh, you did put it on.
When you put it on the channel, it automatically puts it up there.
Got it.
About what you call it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a cool feature.
Yeah. And what we're using for the web app is a technology, a framework based on JavaScript, which is called Next.js, which is a framework on top of, or a library on top of a library called React.js. And within the last, I don't know, decade or so, coding has been considerably much harder to deal with because everyone switched from server-side development, which used to be PHP, which was just a little bit slower, to Facebook created a framework called React because they had issues back in the day syncing up with the data from like their feeds wasn't matching the data on the header, and there's plenty of ways that they could have went around it, but they used so there's state management libraries as well, and so like Redux, for instance, is one of them, and they put together the entire framework with Redux, with this this state what you call state management system. The reason to do that is so that the state of the user is held throughout the entire application, because it seems like these new day applications or whatever, web apps. I know you guys probably say websites, but if a website has a database and is holding state, meaning that it's basically memorizing the information that you put, and it'll relay like your information from a database, and it has sign-ins and everything. It's a web app, not a website. A website typically doesn't have dynamic data. It just has like what's called static data, just regular data, regular what you call it, that you have to manually change, versus dynamic data that's coming in from a database, and we're doing something with it. We're holding state. So they created this framework called React, which is basically what it does is it creates what's called a shadow DOM. Without trying to go too complex for those who don't know, all sites, when you request a URL, it builds up what's called a DOM tree, right? And a DOM tree basically tells it all the assets and if there's any functions, all of the functions and how it flows. It's like from a top to bottom flow. And so you have what's called your HTML and your CSS, you know, which is like the backbone, and then you have JavaScript. But it puts all of those things into place and it creates nodes. And this is called a shadow DOM. This is like your application. And what we used to do back in the day is what's called manipulate the DOM. So like directly do some animations or some movement or something like that with these elements. But nowadays it's done differently, only to save like 0.3 seconds or something like that, which can be useful, but it's very complex. So you have to weigh the odds of whether it's even worth it or not. But what it does is it takes that DOM tree and it creates like all of the different possibilities that it could be, and it keeps it under the hood. So that way, when there's a change, it doesn't repaint the entire screen. So that's another thing. Is like regular applications that use older technologies like PHP or Java, some Python, even some of the older versions. Any change that you have, like say a drop down, for instance, or anything, and you choose something, any place that is dynamic data, or you do something, click, or do anything on screen, what it does is it repaints the entire screen, meaning that all of the elements on the screen, and essentially the entire app, because this is all like single page application. It's really just one page, but it's broken down into routes where it looks like there's different pages, right? And anytime there's a change, it repaints the entire thing. The entire app gets regenerated. And so with the shadow DOM concept, only what changes is what changes. So just imagine like, all right, you have a built tree, right? And then you just see the shadow of the tree, and whatever changes, like maybe one branch or something like that. I'm saying tree, but it's not really a tree, and it doesn't look like a tree, but it's called a DOM tree because it's a higher order. And so you just say, for instance, you take one branch and you want to change something, right? So the user does something and something else changes. For instance, like this, the user hovers or clicks on another user profile, and then a card pops up. So that's like an action that the user does. And so instead of changing everything, it only changes that particular item that's been changed. And that's all with the help of this framework React, as well as the state management of Redux. But nowadays, people are moving back to the server side because they found that they're putting too much on the client side. So now components are separated by either server or client. That makes sense. They like, what the fuck is he talking about? Fucking what? What? Server side, client side.
Dom tree.
Man, he's fucking up my high. I thought they was gonna be talking about like some gang shit, like some brain rot. Like, come on, man, where the switch at? Where the? It's like,
Start talking about Diddy.
right, start talking about Diddy. Ain't this a Diddy stream? Holy crap!
Go over the Diddy case.
Right. What the fuck did I just run into? Yeah, typically on these companies, it goes way slower than this because you gotta write your own test cases and you gotta get approvals from your peers, or if you're not a senior, then you have to get approval from 2 seniors, and then the code sits and then it has to be tested, and if the testing fails, then it goes back through the loop. But that's just one form of testing. Then it goes through a pipeline of various other tests, vulnerability tests, accessibility tests, usability tests. So it's testing against different security measures, making sure that there's no anti-patterns within the code. Sometimes it's done deceptively and other times it's done by accident, but anti-patterns is very real, or leaks in the code, leaks in the memory.
We're still alive.
Yeah, we don't have no electricity.
Yeah.